Hey, everybody. Happy holidays. Welcome to the Midwest. It's been a crazy day, and it's about to be a crazy, awesome week, holiday week. Christmas is this Friday. So normally I do these live sessions every Friday afternoon, but I won't be doing a live session this Friday afternoon because I'm going to be with my family, and I'm sure you will be with yours. And so I wanted to come on and just have a live session right now and wish you guys a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate this time of year. I hope you have a great one. And I want to kind of give you some updates on some things that are going on here on the channel and in the world, that if you're a fan of the channel, you're a fan of cold training and breath work. And there was recently a world record that was just broken just a couple days ago. And it's kind of a funny story. I'm about to release a interview that I had with Joseph Coburl, the person who had the record. He had the record at the time when I recorded the interview with him. He had the record at 2 hours, 30 minutes. Hey, Jeffrey, Merry Christmas. But yeah, so Joseph Coburl is the Austrian who within the last year, he broke the world record by a long shot. And he put it at 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 30 minutes, 58 seconds to be exact, in direct skin to ice. He had that record, and I had the pleasure of getting to interview him. And I really recommend, I'm going to be uploading that interview tonight, and it should drop tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I really recommend listening to that interview or watching it. It'll be on the podcast if you want to listen to it on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. But Joseph Coburl, he is just an incredible guy. He does cold water swimming, and I've been getting to know more and more cold water swimmers, and it's just really kind of incredible what they do. So, but anyway, the funny thing is that I interviewed him, and he gave his take on cold exposure, which is a little bit different than everybody else's take. He has a whole strategy that he goes through, and he talks about how he endured that skin to ice for 2.5 hours, and it was pretty crazy. Hey, Brandon, Merry Christmas. And so anyway, I'm going to be uploading that, but news just broke out. And I read about this, I think it was just yesterday. It's actually 3 days ago when this happened, but I just read about it yesterday. And let's see here. I want to make sure I'm reading this in English, because so much of this news is in French, because it was a French guy that just recently broke Joseph Coburl's record. So Joseph Coburl had the record for the better part of this year at 2.5 hours, 58 seconds. And he had beat, I forget the guy that he beat. He was from China, who had beaten Wim's records. And so, and again, watch the interview. It's a really good interview. The guy is just an awesome guy. But anyway, just recently, so this Frenchman, Roman Vandendorp, and I'm sure I mispronounced that. I'm going to try to get a hold of Roman so we can do an interview on the channel to see what some of his tips. But he just recently broke the record, and his record stands now at 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 43 seconds. And so that is the current record as far as I know right now. Now, apparently he did it at a charity event, so that's extra cool. And the fact that he's doing it during this time of year is just fantastic. But he said he trained to overcome human limits by neurocognitive techniques based on imagination and concentration to put himself in a state of daydreaming. And this is something I'm hearing more and more from other cold trainers. And this is something that kind of echoes a little bit. It's not exactly what Joseph Coburl was talking about in the interview. Again, I don't want to give it all away before I upload it, but this idea of taking yourself out of the moment. Now, this is something that for a lot of us who are cold trainers, we say, no, don't take yourself out, really focus, get into the experience. So we're starting to hear one of the cool things that I love. And so oftentimes we get into these schools of thought that no, it has to be this way or no, it has to be that way. And for me, it's just fascinating. It's really kind of interesting to hear all these different schools of thought. And for those of you guys who have read my book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork, in that book, I talk about how experts disagree. And this is one thing that we're starting to find in the world of cold exposure too. And yeah, you're seeing, like Brandon's saying right now, a diversity in training, and you're seeing a diversity in this different styles of training. So whereas, and you're going to hear coaching from different perspectives. Now, one of the things that I did like, whenever you hear these things, it's like, whoa, okay, so you're coming at it from a different point of view. How did you figure this out? And so these are really cool times, my friends, because not only has ice bathing and this cold exposure, the extreme temperatures, not only has it become more popular, and of course it's still pretty fringe, right? Your friends are still thinking you're crazy when you do it, but not only has it started to become more respected scientifically, and there's a lot of research that's being done about it, but now we're starting to see these people move what we thought was just incredibly, like Wim's records. I remember when I first met Wim Hof in 2016, I couldn't help myself. I had to ask him, hey, Wim, because his record was just under 2 hours. And he would always, what he would do, he broke his own record multiple times, and he would break it by 1 minute at a time, in increments of 1 minute. And I believe his last record was 1 hour, 54 minutes. And I remember when I met him, I was like, hey, Wim, why didn't you just go for 2 hours, right? And the audacity to ask such a question was, I mean, I've never said I'm not a goofball. I think anyone who knows me, and maybe you guys have gotten to know me well enough to know that I'm a kind of a goofball. And so, he was nice enough to say, hey, maybe I'll do that next time, and we went on with the rest of the night. But, it was only him breaking those records. And that was so head and shoulders above anybody else for the longest time. And then, we had one person, I forget the guy's name. I hate that. I don't mean any disrespect by forgetting his name, but I just forget his name. But I remember he was from China, and he was really nipping at Wim's heels for a long time. And then eventually he broke the record. And then Joseph Coburl, who I interviewed recently, he broke the record I think he added like a whole half hour. Just really blew away what had already been seen to be absolutely impossible. And then now we see another guy break that record. Now, 5 minutes, for those of you who have taken an ice bath, 5 minutes is nothing to sneeze at, right? So like the same, the question I asked Wim, why didn't you just go the extra, 5 or 6 minutes to make it 2 hours? That's life and death time. For the average person, 5 minutes in straight up ice is a life and death experience. So we're seeing this blossoming, this growth in a part of human capabilities that we've never seen before. So it's absolutely fascinating to see this grow. And now we're seeing, okay, this guy, he broke it just recently. Now, one thing I got to say, whenever you listen to my interview that's coming out tomorrow with Joseph Coburl, you're going to hear what Joseph's new goal is. He had already had a goal set. So he's got this goal set that he's hoping to, and I don't want to ruin the episode and the interview, but he's got a goal that's just mind blowing. And I so hope, Joseph, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Whenever I was interviewing him, I was like, oh, Joseph, you're kind of my hero. You get to know these different people that are just getting legendary results. It's just crazy, to see this. Brandon says, yeah, man, 2.5 hours in an ice bath. It is. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Hey, brother, Vince Ramos, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. I'm very good at mispronouncing names. Merry Christmas and belated happy birthday, Jesse. Unfortunately, I missed your live stream a few days ago. Anyways, yeah, well, it was a fun live stream. It would have been better if you would have been there. It was probably the only time I will drink alcohol on a live stream. I got to say, for me, every time, I generally, we talked a little bit about, I had a question from the audience about my relationship to alcohol. And as much as I enjoy drinking and having fun, I always find that for multiple days afterwards, I can tell that I missed out on a little bit of sleep. And I think part of me is like, is it age? So, and of course, I turned 40, and could it be age? And I honestly, as much as it might sound like I'm in denial, I think it's more of a matter of you're just better. I feel like I'm more in tune with myself. And so over my birthday weekend last week, and I also had a Christmas celebration with my wife's family. So it was a lot of drinks and a lot of like rich foods, sugar foods. I think sugar hurts me more than alcohol. I think I get more of a hangover from eating sugary foods. I get an immediate hangover. I would say within 20 minutes to an hour of eating a sugary food, I can tell a change in my body. So, hey, Lucas, thank you so much. Jin Songho is the name of the Chinese guy. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure I mispronounced his name too. I'm so good at mispronouncing names. So yeah, and you're right, Vince. I'll just call you Vince, my friend. I'm talking to you. A scheduled sleep rhythm is really the foundation for everything else. Absolutely, 100%. Sleep is such a foundation, and that is, and I don't care if you're eating a perfect diet and you're taking an ice bath every day and you're perfect with your breath work. Everything suffers if you don't get your sleep. So I had a really great birthday. That night I had a Zoom party, which is pretty lame. I got to admit, a Zoom party for your 40th birthday is the opposite of what I ever dreamed of. But it was kind of nice because some of my friends had moved to other states and other places. So, a bunch of us guys got together. We had some cheers over Zoom, and we watched cheesy movies. I'm a big fan of cheesy movies. So let's see. There's a guy here, Big Meaty Skater Man. First of all, I love the name. He says, surely after that long, going even longer just feels like the same. And you're probably referring to the cold in an ice bath or in the ice chamber. And that's one of those things where I've seen people attempt to make records in this. And the thing is, I've seen so many people in ice baths attempt. For instance, one of the most common goals that I see when I coach people is a 10-minute ice bath. A lot of people have that goal. I would like to have a 10-minute ice bath. And I had to work very hard, but I don't do 10-minute ice baths myself. For a while, I was doing a 10-minute ice bath every single day. And that was whenever I was preparing to go train with Wim. And I knew he was going to test me. And I was really, trying to make sure I was 100% prepared. I would do a 10-minute ice bath every single day. And one of the things that I will say is that you might actually like the way you feel as far as like the pain, because there's these waves of pain because I've gone longer. I've gone for about 20 minutes in an ice bath a few times. And, I'll have these little challenges that I give myself now and then. I used to do that more than I do now. Actually, right now, my cold exposure is more of outdoor cold exposures. I don't challenge myself quite so much in the ice bath as much as I'll challenge myself in the outdoors. And it'll change depending on how hard I'm training. Sometimes I'll go through a season where I train really, really hard. And then I'll go through a season where I'm just, I'm just doing it for my health. And so I'm just sticking around, just doing my regular thing. But yeah, once you get into the cold for a certain amount of time, though, the problem is if you're not well trained. Now, all of these guys that are breaking records, I mean, they're training hard on a regular basis. And for instance, like I really don't know anything about the guy who just broke the record. I other than just what I'm reading here. He's 35 years old, I think. He's from France. No, he's 34. It says the 34-year-old health worker remained buried up to his neck in ice and plexiglass cabin for 2 hours, 35 minutes, 43 seconds, breaking the previous record. Now it says breaking the previous record by 40 minutes, but that's not accurate. It was the previous record was 2.5 hours. So sometimes they get it wrong here. But basically, I've seen people work on these things and you'll have waves of like pain that you'll go through. And I've experienced this myself. The big danger is if you don't experience that pain. And what I've had happen to myself and especially some of my fellow, some fellow friends of mine that were really, we were really pushing each other and we were pushing ourselves in the cold. Well, what happens is when you become hypothermic, you start to feel warm in the cold. So you'll experience hypothermia, and then you're like, well, hey, I've adapted to the cold so much that I don't even notice it anymore. And that's whenever I've seen people get really have some really bad times after that. But anyway, hey, Eric Lindquist, I'm so happy to see you here. You said Merry Christmas to all my cold companions. Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. It's so nice this time of year. Like I said, I'm not going to do a live feed on Christmas Day. That's a day I'm reserving just for my family. We're going to be having, my wife is making, she wants to make it our very first Puerto Rican style turkey. And so she asked me, hey, which would you rather have? And she said these two words in Spanish. And I, unfortunately, I passed Spanish, 3 years of Spanish. But sadly enough, I did not retain much of it. And I was like, what are those? One was the pork. One was the turkey. I've had a lot of Puerto Rican style pork, but I'd never had the turkey. So we're going to have turkey on Christmas. Let's see here. So, hey, Jesse, I shoveled snow in my shorts today. Thanks for the motivation, brother. Hey, Rafael Yoga, I am proud of you, my friend. And that takes some guts, not just because you're getting out in the cold, but also because we all know what the neighbors were thinking, right? I got to say, I just recently moved to a new neighborhood. And so my neighbors in my old neighborhood, they were used to the crazy bearded man who is half naked in the snow. Not a lot. Well, I'd say about a third of the videos that you've seen of me just like breathing and just meditating in the snow were in that old neighborhood. So they were pretty used to it. These new neighbors, I mean, I'm breaking them in. This is their first winter with me. So let's see. Jeffrey says, I wanted to get into cold open water swimming, but it's just so intimidating. You know what, Jeffrey? I'll tell you this. I know a lot of people now who will tell you that it is easier to get into cold water swimming than it is to get into ice bathing. And that is because you're actually doing something, you're able to focus on something, you're swimming, you are creating some body heat as you do it. So, hey, if you've got the opportunity, be safe about it. Don't go by yourself. Go with a friend or friends. Go with someone maybe who's done it before and give it a shot. Don't be out there until you're miserable, but maybe, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to swim around maybe for a minute and then get out, dry off, see how that feels, move around. I will say that it's more fun. Anytime you can do cold exposure and have fun with it, you're going to break previous like mental blocks because you're having fun. And that's the biggest thing. Now, again, there's many masters of cold exposure, many masters of cold training. But the thing that I have always said and that I firmly believe, and I'm going to do a video about it in the near future, is if you make it into a joyful, you have to decide. If you've read my ebook on cold training, I say these are the rules of cold training, right? And these are just my rules of after years of training. This is the things that I found. But one of my personal rules, if you're going to get into cold training, you have to make the decision, I am going to fall in love with cold training. You have to make that decision, or else the rest of it, or you're just torturing yourself, right? If you go into every cold experience and you hate life and you haven't made the decision to love it, then you're setting yourself up for disaster. So the way I did that, and I've talked about this a few times, the way I did it was with cold showers and cheesy music. So I would do a cold shower and like I'd listen to either like cheesy 80s rock. Now, see, I know we've got a Bon Jovi fan who is a regular on this channel, and I will say John Bon Jovi got me through a lot of cold showers early on. It was just fun, sing-along tunes. Occasionally I would have like Gangster's Paradise or California Love. I actually online, I found that there is a version of California Love that is exactly 5 minutes long. So what I would do is I would start it and just jump right in the shower. And I knew that as soon as that was over, 5 minutes had passed. So I learned how to fall in love and just kind of have fun with it. I never got in, like a lot of people insist on making it into this Zen experience. And I find myself that I had to make it fun before I could make it Zen. And I think that's a common misconception about meditation and mindfulness too, is that you have to sit there and be in the lotus stance or the lotus position with a mudra, and that's your starting place. But for me, it's never been that way. For me, whether it's meditation or being out in the snow or anything, it's always started from a place of being like a child, like bringing it back to the childlike mindset and having that playful attitude about it. And then once I'm able to play with it, once I'm able to have fun with it, then I'm able to, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I have to be a child so that I can mature into, because later on, like now, I'll go out into the cold and I will have more of a Zen experience. But you'll also see, my neighbors and people around here will also see me playing in the snow. And I've really enjoyed, I got to say, snow walking is one of my main things that I focus on now. I've really been enjoying that. Why? Are there health benefits to snow walking? Not really a lot. Really, snow walking is not that much as far as like your immune system or anti-inflammation, maybe in the feet, but you're not really challenging homeostasis when you go snow walking quite as much as you're challenging your mindset. So for me, that's basically what it's been. Hey, Rusty Gaming, I saw you earlier. I wondered if that was you. I almost made a comment on your, you were playing some kind of game that reminded me of like Chrono Trigger back in the olden days. I don't know, but I checked in on you. I almost made a comment, but then you had to get up and go pee, and then I got busy. So I'm glad you're here, my friend. If you guys are into gaming, go check out Rusty Gaming. See, he says, today I did 3 minutes in the cold shower. Hell yeah. Let's see. It's the longest time I've ever done. Listen to the Chinese Kung Fu. See, make it enjoyable. Make it fun. Now I tell you what I listen to. If I go take a cold, like a cold plunge now, I will, I'll throw on some Viking music. And specifically my favorite song is anything really. If there's a band called Folknery, it's folk and then Nery. They're just awesome. Like, just amazing. I really find them to be enjoyable. I also enjoy Wundruna. Wundruna is just a fantastic group. And they do the best version of Helvegen I've ever heard. So I like listening to them. So it's interesting because I think it's, for me, I had to get, like, discomfort for me is, I don't care if I'm injured or maybe I'm hungover or what it is. If I approach life with a playful attitude, I can get over discomfort pretty quickly. It's whenever I try to muscle it and focus too much that sometimes I have the problem. So in order for me to get over those mental barriers, I had to be playful. Actually, I had a girl ask me one time, she was a little bit concerned. For instance, whenever you do like a Wim Hof method workshop or any kind of like a public cold dip or just ice bathing in general, sometimes people are like, they're not incredibly comfortable being in bathing suits around other people, and now I've gotten so used to, after all the time I've been bathing with other people, and even especially after being in Europe where there's just like more times than not, we were all just naked. I've gotten really comfortable with it, but a lot of people aren't comfortable with it. And the thing I tell them is like, I promise you, once you get there, it's more like when we were kids and you didn't even notice a difference between boys and girls. You were just there to have fun. And that's, to me, that's exactly what it is. AX, what's up? Let's see here. So, okay. YXCV, etc. says, emerging into nature by going into cold, open water is like the universe embracing you. Ooh, I like this. It all becomes one. There is a certain amount of like peace that happens there, right? He says, it is fun. It is fun that gets you doing it. Then you stumble upon the Zen. Exactly. Soon you'll realize it's all grace. Oh, that was a great comment. Thank you for that, my friend. I don't know how to pronounce your tag name, but that was just a beautiful comment. And I would say that's probably exactly it. There's a friend of mine who I'm going to have on here on a live. We're going to talk about a upcoming Wim Hof method workshop weekend that is going to be going on in Wisconsin. So I'll just put that it's at this 4-star resort in Wisconsin. Very, very, very limited seating on this because, of course, the way the world is right now. But I'm going to have him on here. We're going to talk about it. But he was talking about how when you do Wim Hof method specifically is what we were talking about. But what you got there, even if you do these things separately, maybe you're doing pranayama or maybe you're doing just ice bathing. I know so many people, it's funny, a lot of people assume that if you do one, you're doing the other. But now I've met so many people that, no, I'm just into cold exposure. Breathwork does not interest me, or vice versa. But when you get into these things, exactly, it's almost hard not to stumble on kind of like a cosmic experience, and I think it's, for a lot of us, it's the first time we've kind of been able to shut down the chatter in our brains and just be still. I think the quietest the world has ever been for me is when I started taking ice baths, and I may start doing this again this winter. I think it was like January, February of like 2017. And I started taking ice baths outdoors, just outside of my house, and it was pitch black at night. And one night I was in the ice bath and I look up and there's this owl that's just hanging out in the tree next to me. And I'm like, I wouldn't have noticed that. I would have just kind of bumbled around, with thoughts in my head. I look up, the stars are out there. I mean, it was this perfect serene moment. And it was all because I had to quiet myself. I was in that ice bath. I had to quiet my mind. And it was just beautiful. It was just, and it's something that you're going to hear. And I'm sure many of you guys can relate to that. So, and Dan, you're absolutely right. Dan Bernstein, crazy people are cool and positive. And then Wim Hof method too. I always say, and I'm going to just say this, I'm just going to make some assumptions based off of the comments I see here. And also a lot of the comments I see on my videos. And I do my best to respond to every single comment that you make on my videos, as long as they're respectful. Sometimes I can't respond to all of them, and I apologize. I really do try to at least look at them. But I see these very insightful comments, and I'll see questions posed from positions of people that are really trying. It's not just the, hey, why don't you let me peek off of your test because I don't want to work myself. It will be there's questions where it's like, this is the issue I'm having. And I'm like, well, okay, this person actually has put some thought into it. And I always say that we're the good kind of weird. We're the right kind of weirdo. And I mean it, because, well, all my favorite people are a little weird. Every person I've ever been like, yeah, we're going to be friends, or if it's a person where it's like, yeah, if we live close enough, we would be friends. It's a person who's got some idiosyncrasies, right? And so, yes, I'm 100% with you on that. Let's see here. Jesse, the channel Skylife. Yeah, I've seen that channel. You should check it out if you don't know. She tries many different things, from yoga to ice baths to basically everything. It is catching. Yeah, she's really awesome. Her channel really blew up. And she's, one of the things I got to say about Skylife is she's really good at video editing. Like the girl has some real skills at writing copy. You can tell she entered into her channel from day one, knowing kind of what she was doing. If you look at my channel, on the other hand, my channel started as not even meaning, I didn't even mean to start like a channel. Like now I take it pretty seriously. It's something that I like. Yeah, I consider myself a YouTuber, and I really enjoy this channel. But at first I was putting some answers to questions that I would get a lot of times when I did workshops, or that I would see people asking over and over again, like on a Facebook group or something like that. So I would make some videos kind of like, I'm going to add a little bit of my own personal flavor of myself into it, but I'm not going to put a lot of effort into it. Like, I don't know how many of my videos still don't have thumbnails, or they have like just the thumbnail you can't even read, and so, but Sky, that girl, yeah, and the thing is, she's also, I think she did a thing with like Troy Casey, who, I would love to meet that guy too. He seems like a crazy cool guy. Definitely into way different things than I am into. Right. So based off of what I've seen, like he's a really, again, the thing is, in the world we live in now, I think sadly enough, if we meet people that are into things that are just so not me, it's almost like we feel like, I don't know, like our own person is being, I don't know, intimidated or judged or something like that. It's like we feel like there's a threat to our own personality if someone else has vastly different habits or views on something. And I personally, I find it to be fascinating. Now, at the same time, I think that guy drinks his own pee. I'm not going to do that. That sounds like a terrible idea for me. And I'm sure there's lots of things that I do that maybe he would say, oh, I don't want to do that. Right. But I thought it was really cool. She went and talked to him, and she went and talked, of course, to Wim Hof. She does the Wim Hof episode. She goes with Yes Theory. So yeah, really cool people out there. And those are the types of people that I'm just really glad they exist. Do we all agree on the same everything? Do we all have the same practice? No. And that's what makes life so much fun. So a lot of times I'll meet people at workshops or at, events, speaking events or things like that. And they'll ask my opinion on things that I'm just not really personally into, or I don't have any interest in. And I'm really careful the way I answer, because I don't want it to come across that I think it's bad. Right. It's just that I'm just not into that. That's just, maybe I've looked into it. It's just, it just doesn't do it for me. It's just not my scene. And the thing is, it's so easy for us to get offended at that stuff. And I'm like, no, I think cool. I could really be missing out, I guess. It's just that I have no real desire to try that particular thing. So, and then maybe next year I'll be like, oh, whoa, okay. I get it now. And that's how it was for that. What's funny is that's how it was for meditation for me. I remember, and meditation's what started my whole breathwork journey, Wim Hof method journey, that's where it all came from. Meditation. And, I got into yoga for a while. I really don't do yoga anymore. Not that I have anything against it. It's still the only reason I can touch my toes to this day. I think it's a fantastic thing, wonderful practice. I just don't do it too much anymore. I do other kinds of mobility routines. In fact, today, let's see here. You might be able to see a little bit over here. I'm just going to give you a little peek. I've been videoing some things that you'll be able to enjoy soon that pertain to mobility. And so I think it's fun to experiment with a lot of these things. All right, let's see here. Eric had to run. If you're still here, thanks for being here. Lucas says, maybe I pass out and not falling asleep. It's happening during breath hold. So not sure now. Okay, Lucas, let me tell you this. Just let me wet my whistle first. It's possible that you're passing out. If you do super ventilation of any kind, and if you've read my book, I describe the essential aspects of what super ventilation is. If you're a fan of this channel, it's likely you're talking about Wim Hof method, which is a form of super ventilation. So when I say super ventilation, we're breathing deeply and heavily, right? We're basically, we're breathing faster than we have to breathe. And when you do that, you blow off an enormous amount of carbon dioxide. When you blow off carbon dioxide, you actually restrict the amount of oxygen that you can absorb into your tissues. I'm not going to go into all the gory details here, but you can pass out. You get lightheaded, right? If you keep going and going, you'll pass out. Now, it's not like you're hurting yourself as long as you don't fall over and hit your head. Or I remember actually one time when I was training, I'm not going to tell you where I was training, but let's just say there were a lot of people there that we were kind of in that. There were a lot of people there that were very, very deeply into breath work. And there was this guy who he was there to speak to the group. But before he went up to speak, we all did some breath work together. And so just imagine, okay, you're going to speak to this group of people, of health enthusiasts, biohackers, breath workers, and you're going to speak to them. And his whole spiel was he was going to speak to us, and it was kind of like a workshop on improving how people can teach breath work or any kind of biohacking. Okay, so he does the breath work with us, and we're all sitting on the floor or lying down. He's sitting at a table. So we do some super ventilation. Okay, we get really, really deep. And the next thing I hear is this thunk. And he had passed out, and his face went down on the table. Blood was coming out his nose. And this poor guy, he demonstrated exactly why we don't do Wim Hof method breathing or any kind of super ventilation when you're seated in a place where you could hurt yourself. Well, after that, he had to go up and speak. He had to go up and speak. And so he had all the tissues up his nose. We all felt bad for him, but the reason he flew to this location was to literally speak at that moment. And it's like, do we just not have that speaker. He's like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. it was kind of funny. Let's see here. Where are we going with this? Rusty is offering to edit my videos. I'm still working on. Thank you for that offer. I'm getting better. I'm working on it, and I actually was able to upgrade my my video production tools thanks to the Patreon club. So if you're in my Patreon club, you bought me a new camera and some new gear. My audio will be infinitely better in all of my upcoming videos because now I have a shotgun mic and a lapel mic that I can use. So the audio and video are better. And then of course, I'm just practicing. Practicing is how we become better. So if you look at my old videos versus where I am now, you'll see a marked progression, hopefully. Let's see, YXC, lots of consonants. Mr. Y, I'll call you. Well, you might be a Ms. So we'll just call you Y. My friend Y. How's that? I love the authenticity of your channel. Hey, thanks, man. It's why I watch it. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're watching. And all that perfectness makes me anxious and uncomfortable. You just spread the fun and the love for it, and it makes me want to go out ASAP. Well, good. That's the thing. I think a lot of times we do get a lot of messages from people who it's like they've come down from the mountain to bestow upon us their perfectness. I will be the first to admit that if I need all of the things that I'm sharing on this channel, I need, and if I didn't have them, I would be even more of a mess than I am now. So thanks for being here. There's, for some reason, I'm thinking of an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where there's a speech, and at the end, I think it's like they were running for political office, and the clincher of the speech was "so do." It was kind of a silly speech. I don't know if that probably isn't where you're getting your name from, but is it? Oh, the Democratic vote is for me. Or I forget exactly what it's just. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's Charlie's speech. Okay, he wrote the speech, and then Dennis. Okay, cool. All right, you're already cool. I'm going to read your comment now. So he says, Jesse, ayo. Okay, if I'm showering, I can stay in way longer if I just let the water hit my back. But am I getting less out of it? Is it more important to cover my whole body or stay in longer? Well, if you're wanting to get the full benefits of a cold shower, you do want to try to get your whole body. You're going to find that you're going to have stronger areas and weaker areas. But yeah, the most important thing is what you're trying to do is get it all over, neck down. So just try to evenly distribute the cold, and that's basically the idea. But I'm just saying, if your safe spot is your back, it's okay to favor one area a little bit more if you need a little break. But the ideal way, I'm going to make a video. I've been trying for the longest time to figure out how to film myself taking a cold shower. I think I've got an idea of how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to show you how I take, how I suggest a person taking a cold shower. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but yeah, Ronan knows about Charlie's speech. Awesome. Okay. I wonder how many, no nudes. See, I'm not going to start an OnlyFans or whatever. I was actually just talking to my media manager, and I was talking about like a members only area on this one thing. He's like, you're not doing an OnlyFans, are you? I don't think I can stay with you for that. And so no, nothing crazy like that. Let's see a few more, and then I'm going to have to get off of here. But let's see. Have you ever used visualization techniques when taking an ice bath? Yes, I have. So Honolek, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name, but Honolek. So he says, have you ever used visualization techniques when taking an ice bath? I find it much easier to enjoy the cold and move more vivid imagination. Yeah. So now Tummo meditation. So I experimented with Tummo early on in my cold exposure, and when I was cold training, and actually I did find that to be a benefit. It's something I later on abandoned, not because it was a bad idea, but because I just chose a different way. But I'm going to revisit it, especially now that I'm getting all these. I'm starting to, I talk to these world record holders, and they're using visualization. Make sure, my friend, listen. So I'm going to be posting my interview with Joseph Kobler. It should drop tomorrow morning. He was able to spend 2.5 hours in straight up ice, and I think you're going to find that helpful, because he talks about some of the techniques that he uses to do that. So yeah, let's see. Okay, I got to get through these, but I'm going to have fun. My wife's not home yet. When she gets home, I got to get off of here. I told her I was only going to do a 30-minute YouTube live, but the thing is, whenever I start having a really good time on these things, I can't hardly stop. So now I know I've got It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fans in the audience. So I just want to hug the screen. So Angel says, does Afterdrop sort of just disappear once you start getting better with the cold? The quick answer, no. He says, I have been exposing myself. At first, it was tricky finding my balance. Now I can be outside with just a shirt. So Angel, that's a great question. The answer is no. And the thing is, you're always going, no matter how long you've been cold training, Afterdrop and hypothermia are the dangers. And literally, that's why I wrote my ebook, because what happened was there was these people that they tried to do the Mount Snežka climb, and they didn't take any precautions. They just felt like they could just walk up there and do it. Guys, I got to get off. My wife, she's going to be home. I got to get off of here. Anyway, if I didn't get a chance to answer your questions, I will be doing this next week. I'll be doing multiple. I've got multiple sessions that we're going to do live. I'm going to be doing a live session with a buddy of mine who he's a fellow instructor of multiple things. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Gotta go. Have a great Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. Thanks so much for being here. And if you haven't already liked, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and go be kind to people. Bye-bye.